Penn State taking game one of the second round match of the NCAA tournament against Long Island, 30-11. Jason Knapp and the Penn State men's assistant coach Dennis Hohenschelt. And Dennis, with Penn State coming out and firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, offensively they had a lot of success all along the net with Cassie, with Nicole. They're starting to block balls pretty well. They've done a fantastic job of limiting their mistakes, and I think they played a pretty clean first game. Has to be pretty happy with it.
Certainly the case to come out here and showcase themselves to these fans in game number one with a 30-11 win over Long Island. Nicole Fawcett doesn't get much better than that. 100% perfect, 7 kills so far for the Big Ten Freshman of the Year.
Yeah, you know, she's different types of kills, clean kills where they haven't touched it. She's hit the ball out of their back row defenders, and they just have not been able to control her. And Coach Renz knew that was going to be a big factor in the match tonight.
He joked to me before the match that, when talking to the Penn State assistants, he said, okay, now Nicole's going to set tonight and Sam is going to sit on the bench and rest. Is that right? And that has not been the case. Fawcett on the floor doing what she does best, put balls away. Long Island, though, drawing first blood here in game number 2.
Yeah, they're what Nicole's perfect night there with that ball that got dug. So she's going to have to work back into it a little bit here.
The Blackbirds can come out with here to try to slow down Penn State. A block up front will be the case.
Yeah, I think if you're Long Island, you have to say, okay, first game's done. We didn't play great. We're starting over again. Let's start from scratch. Let's try to claw our way back into this thing.
Well, certainly a good battle last night with Cornell in round 1, beating the Big Red 30-29, 30-24, and then 35-33 in the third and decisive game.
And those types of wins for a program such as theirs is big. I mean, to move on to the second round in the NCAA and now get a chance to play in this atmosphere against Penn State is really, really big.
Coach Renz talked about, too, of being in the tournament last year. He saw the dividends paid off last night in that match against Cornell, a program that hadn't been into the NCAA tournament in quite a while.
Yeah, and that's as you're building a program, those are the steps you have to take. Okay, we get into the tournament. Now we win some matches, and now we're moving on and get some better kids to help move on.
Long Island here gets the point. Penn State did not like the call, but the service error there for even up at 3 apiece.
Yeah, that's one of those mystery calls there that you don't know where the touch came.
Jackson flying up. Walters dug it out. Looked like it might go out on Long Island's side. Blackbirds opted to play it, and now they'll control here with a chance. And Jackson swings long.
I think probably the one concern, if anything, Penn State has is Kate Price getting going a little bit. I'm not sure. She might have had 1 kill in that first game, but she's struggling a little bit trying to get some kills here.
Good dump there by Vasilovich. Caught Penn State off guard, and LIU retakes the lead.
Yeah, and that's a nice play. If the Penn State defenders, the wing defenders, are a little bit wider, it leaves that open to the middle of the defense wide open.
Tortorello in the middle. Walbridge clean kill. Sophomore out of Yardley, PA, Melissa Walbridge.
Yeah, this is what we call quick set, front one. It's a little bit quicker. She gets on the ball faster. The defense isn't ready for it.
Melissa, an all Big Ten selection again this season, leading the team in Big Ten in hitting percentage.
And she's sort of been the quiet factor on this team all year long, where her numbers have been great. You don't notice her a whole lot, but she's been the one steady influence all year long.
And it's tough, too, with a lift call there against Long Island. The point will go to Penn State there as Vasilovich tried that dump again, but got called for the violation.
Yeah, took the ball a little bit too low, called her for a lift.
But you talked about, the seniors here, Tortorello and Walters, get so much publicity, and the freshman class that came in gets so much pub, and rightfully so. But, the sophomore group and the junior, and Sawyer, Walbridge, and Price, they're sort of the unsung heroes of this squad.
Yeah, where you get everyone doing some different stuff and some awards. And those guys have been solid, and put up some great numbers. But everyone's looking at Kalina's numbers and Sam's numbers and what the freshmen are. Those guys sort of get forgotten a little bit.
Another call against Penn State that got Russ Rose up out of his chair. A little bit questioning. Lions still leading here at 6-5. Jackson, Fawcett with a nice dig, and Price tracked it down nearly in the seats to keep play continuing. Big solo block up front from Cassie.
Yeah, you've seen tonight, the longer the rallies go. Penn State's won every long rally that's gone. Here's Cassie blocking that back row attack, what we call pipe attack, by herself, and that's a big block.
Cassie with a block, and Penn State watches Long Island answer immediately.
And that's what Long Island has to do. They lose a rally, they have to go back and say, okay, we're going to side out first time. We're not going to give up any runs of points. That's the only way we're going to hang around in this thing.
Jackson serving after the last kill from Adela Igniska. And we see Sawyer come back.
And Cassie's had a real good night right now. She's been running that slide a little bit out to the right antenna, and she's been real successful running it.
See Aniska, back-to-back kills for her. Long Island maybe getting a little bit of confidence here in game number 2. You can sort of see it etched in their faces. They played a more difficult schedule this year. Took a game from Louisville earlier this year, a team that's been ranked in the top 10 a lot of the season.
And as this match goes, and they get to hang around in this thing a little bit, you can see the confidence grow in what they're doing. They find some things that might work and run those things a little bit longer.
Lost in the first round last year to Minnesota, did Long Island, in its opening NCAA tournament experience. There's Tortorella. Senior says, you know what, we need a point, and the dump is open.
Yeah, it's been sort of like she's been waiting for it. And you see the defense get sucked in. Everyone's up near that 3-meter line, and she just pushes it back into the far corner.
9-8 Penn State. Gold with a big swing for Long Island.
And Long Island's developed a nice little side-out rhythm right now. Not that they're scoring a lot of points, but they're siding out first ball and going back and having a chance to score some real points.
And if you're Long Island, you just sort of want to kind of tread water with Penn State right now. Closer we get to 30, and who knows what happened. Maybe you can steal one here.
Yeah, you want to maybe divide the game up into 3 segments: game to 10, game to 20, game to 30. And you want to be in those games. If we can be around at 20, now they're saying if we can be around 20, we're in pretty good shape.
Tortorella looking for Holloway, and Laura finishes strong.
And I think this weekend is pretty big with this new lineup being played, is getting a little bit of familiarity with each other, and this group of 6 playing together, and I think that they're getting better at that right now.
It's nice when you can find that off the bench for Penn State, the remarkable depth that this squad has.
Yeah, and a lot of it is with Sammy saying, okay, I feel comfortable setting Laura in these situations, and that has to happen. It just doesn't happen overnight. It's going to happen over a 2-week period.
Melissa Walbridge, front and center with a block.
Yeah, big block here. Walbridge and Holloway getting over the net, stuffing that ball back into the Long Island's court.
Penn State suddenly with a surge. Tortorella, great get there on the floor. Penn State up by 4, its largest lead here in game number 2. After taking game 1 convincingly, 30-11, and now you see the Nittany Lions have a little flow.
Yeah, the interesting thing as you watch this is that first game, Sam sent every ball out to Fawcett, Fawcett, Fawcett. Now she's trying to develop a little bit of rhythm with Holloway, and she's mixing things up, so now Long Island's not real sure where the ball's going.
Wagner responding for Long Island. We talked about Penn State's winning streak. 24 games in a row. 22 of those wins have been 3-0 sweeps. Penn State went through the Big Ten schedule, only giving up 3 games in those 20 games, 20 matches. Just a remarkable stretch of power and precision by this Nittany Lion team.
Yeah, and not only that, you're talking some games that are 30-13 games, 30-14 games, 30-50, against Big Ten schools. And, if your home team's under 20 points in rally score, you're doing a pretty darn good job with your team.
Penn State doing a good job right now. Took game 1, leading game 2 here in this 2005 NCAA tournament. Back here at Rec Hall, Penn State fans watching the Nittany Lions roll to a victory in game number 1 and game number 2. And of course, Penn State, one of the top 4 seeds in this women's volleyball tournament, along with Nebraska, Washington, and Arizona, as we try to work our way to the national semifinal weekend at the Alamo Dome.
Yeah, and I think the top 3 seeds were pretty clear all year long, and the question always was who's going to be the 4th seed, and Arizona sort of snuck in there at the end with beating Stanford. It was Stanford was sort of on the edge there, and Arizona beat them the last weekend to sneak for that number 4 seed.
Of course, Penn State's only 2 losses for the season to those other 2 top seeds that you mentioned, Nebraska and Stanford, but certainly Penn State is playing seemingly at a higher level of volleyball than they have at any other point this season.
Yeah, I think Russ has to be pretty happy where they're at right now. He wants them to keep doing that day in and day out, you know, because now it's losing, you're going home. There's no other day, so you know you got to bring your best every night as this tournament progresses and as the competition progresses. Because now you're talking next week. Now you're talking a possibility of Hawaii, Minnesota, Missouri being here.
Yep. Penn State will have a regional here next week. Nittany Lions just trying to ensure that they will be here. Need the victory over Long Island tonight to get there. We talked about some of those teams that are on the horizon for Penn State. Hawaii, a team that the Nittany Lions have beaten this year. And Texas, a team that raised some eyebrows about a week or so ago with a victory over Nebraska.
Yeah, probably a team that plays Hawaii tonight, probably the best second round matchup, that Texas-Hawaii matchup. You know, they've won maybe 11 in a row lately, so Texas has been the hottest team right now in the country.
Wagner there with a back row attack. Maybe caught Penn State napping.
Yeah, I don't think Fawcett thought she was going to swing at that ball, wasn't really ready for that, and it caught her off guard.
And we talked about Minnesota and Tennessee. You see, tied at 2 as they head to game number 5 right now. And again, Penn State, if the Nittany Lions were to win, would take on the victor of that match in the next round here next weekend.
And that was sort of a toss-up game. That's another great second round game. 2 very good teams, and you weren't sure who was going to come out of that.
Certainly the case. Minnesota with its pedigree in the tournament in recent years, and Tennessee's got some quality wins this year, including one over Florida in the SEC. 2013 here in game number 2. Tortorello setting Price. LIU got a touch on it. And now a good chance here for the Nittany Lions. Again, Long Island's block. Not dominant, but did enough to slow things down. Penn State, calm, cool, collected defensively, handles that chance. Now a net violation going to be called on Penn State.
Yeah, I think that was Katie Price trying to go out to that antenna and block, caught the antenna, or caught the net on their way up with her hands.
Blackbirds staying within striking distance of the Nittany Lions here. 6-point differential. Now Price, no antenna that time, pure power.
Yeah, just, you know, she gets a block in front of her. She's just trying to hit high hands, get that ball to go off the blocker that they can't play. Not a ball that she's trying to hit straight down, but it's a real smart swing that she's going to have to keep to make, you know, as they play bigger teams and better teams. That's the type of swing that's going to get you kills.
See Roberta Holhouse checking in. Freshman from Maryland will serve when we come back. Penn State trying to take a 2-0 lead on Long Island in round 2 of the NCAA tournament. The band playing on here at Rec Hall. Beautiful music for Penn State fans and beautiful scenery for the Nittany Lion faithful. Volleyball team in control here in game 2 of round 2 of the NCAA tournament against Long Island. You see Roberta Holhouse and that quality serve. Tortorello into the Penn State bench, trying to track that one down, but Sam is up.
That was a little bit of a takeout of assistant coach Mike Shaw on the bench there.
Trying to hustle out of the way. It's a tough call when you're on the bench there.
Exactly.
Do you save the player and then maybe have a bigger collision, or do you sort of do an Olay to get out of the way?
I think it depends on age. You know, the older you get, the more you're trying to protect yourself. In Mike's younger days, he might have been able to do both, do the jump out of the way and save at the same time.
Good to see coaches back in position there. And it's always good to see number 1 with a ball in her sights. Another finish for Fawcett.
Yeah, that's her 9th kill. We have not a lot of swings from her this game, you know, but she's up to 9 kills right now. Just 2 so far this game.
Great team defense there by Penn State. Salyer, also Chris Brown, both able to handle the ball to keep it alive, but Long Island just won't go away here in game number 2.
Yeah, those are the type of rallies that they weren't winning that first game, where they would, you know, put a ball over, a ball come back, and they'd lose that. You know, they've done a pretty good job this game of finishing out those rallies.
Igniska restarting things, and that one just sailing a little bit long.
And I think, you know, if you're going to serve the ball that soft, that it's something you got to put in play. You know, they can't miss serves against Penn State and make it easy for them.
We talked about the Big Ten involved in this tournament. Purdue now advancing on to the round of 16 with a 3-games-to-none sweep of the College of Charleston, which knocked off North Carolina in round 1. Now, if you're Long Island, can't afford a service error at this point.
And I understand they're trying to serve tough, and you want to do some things to try to take Penn State out, but you know, you have to serve the ball tough, you have to serve it, and you have to make them beat you.
Holloway setting that time. Price's swing. Handled by Long Island, but Jackson knocks it wide.
And it's probably a factor of getting blocked so much out there. Now you're trying to avoid the block a little bit, and it's real big, and you're trying to avoid it and hitting the ball a little bit wide.
You know what? To her credit, Jackson just keeps on pumping them out. Lizelle finishing that one.
Yeah, she's not afraid to swing at the ball, that's for sure. And you know, they're going to have to keep setting her, and she's just going to take as many swings as possible for them.
An explosive hitter. One of a bunch of transfers that have come in here and really revitalized this Long Island program under Toby Renz. And this team no quit here after getting waxed pretty handily 30-11 in game number 1. Long Island tracking back within 4 here in game number 2.
Yeah, and we talked about serving the ball in, and that's an advantage if you serve the ball in. There's a chance that, you know, get an ace here, get it, you know, shank pass there, put them into bad pass situation, and let your block work for you then.
Penn State forced to call timeout. Russ Rose discussing some strategy with setter Sam Tortorello. And if you're Long Island and Toby Renz, you've got to be especially pleased because they're doing what you talked about, Dennis, is sectioning off this game, and they're staying close to within having a chance of trying to steal it away.
Yeah, we talked about, you know, they were at 10-9, I think, in that first section, that things got away from them a little bit in that middle section, that middle section of 10 points. And here, the last 3-4 points, they've been able to run off and jump back into it. You know, this is a big timeout. You got to come out of this timeout. This ball has to be in for them. If you're Penn State, you need the side out of this timeout and stop that momentum.
At what point, if you're the underdog, do you stop playing to sort of keep it alive? Is there some point where you say, okay, we've got to start going for corners and going for shots to try to take our shot?
Yeah, you know, and I think that's a good question. The thing is, you also know the limitations of your players at this point. You know, you've been with them all season, and you know what they can do. And I think at this point, you say, hey, we play to our strengths. If you've been hitting this shot great all year long, keep hitting it. Make them block you. If not, you know, if they block you, more power to them. But we have to play to our strengths rather than doing something different.
Jackson has been a player that Long Island has gone to. Their block has been a little bit better as well, and Penn State victimized by a lift call. Long Island creeps a little closer at 25-22.
I think on a good pass here, this ball is going to have to go to. Hasn't set Walbridge out of this rotation a whole lot, so I think they got to set her here a little bit.
You speak, it happens. Tortorello to Walbridge.
Yeah, and I think that was maybe and I will put this in quotes, the discussion Russ had with Sam. It was more of this is what I want you to do is you got to get her the ball more often right now, especially when it's a good pass and we can do that.
The service error by Penn State. Side out to Long Island. Now Vasilovich will serve for the Blackbirds. Oh, Jackson jumping in, pounding another one down.
Yeah, and we're talking about that's, we're talking about playing your strength. That's her strength. I'm going to hit the ball hard. Here I am. I hit the ball hard. If they block me, they block me. If not, I'm going to get a kill out of it because I hit the ball hard.
Penn State certainly being tested here in game number 2 by Long Island. Price got a piece. Fawcett on the ground to keep it alive. Oh, Long Island. Back row attack from Wagner, and it pays off. She is a deceiving swing from that back row.
Yeah, and it's not a big, hard jump. She's almost standing at the line. She almost just jumped straight up and down, but it's a real hard, flat ball that's tough to get out of the way. Most of those are probably out, but you just don't have enough time to get out of the way of it.
Martina Wagner has put Long Island with a point of tying things up, and it will be tied. Salyer fires long.
I think right now they're struggling a little bit. They need to get Fawcett in the front row. She's been stuck in that back row, it seems, for the last since about 20, and they can't get out of these rotations to get her going.
Tortorella going here to Cassie, and you don't always need the power. Good touch, good position, and Penn State finally gets a point to retake the lead.
Yeah, and I think that's a good set by Sam. Cassie didn't make a great swing on the last ball. I think you go right back to your teammate and say, hey, let's get it done. She made a good play.
Tough touch for Jackson. Got a bit handcuffed. Has to dump it over. Here's a chance for Tortorella on the Lions. Salyer down the line and wide. Even again at 27 apiece.
And a lot of these problems have stemmed from the passing. We talked about not serving Kalina. They haven't served Kalina the ball a whole lot. They've gotten the ball on Katie Price and made her pass a lot of the court.
Bad time for a service error for Long Island. Penn State will take it.
Yeah, that's sort of letting them off the hook pretty easy right there. You put some pressure on them.
Price serving for Penn State. Wagner off a tough set from Vasilovich. Just had to try to tip it over. Penn State read it and blocked it. Now the Nittany Lions with a chance to put game 2 away. Long Island calls timeout to talk a little strategy here. The Blackbirds desperately wanting to win this game to even up the match.
Yeah, and this coach that kills you. You've worked so hard to get back into the game, to get it to 26, 26, 27, 27. You miss a serve to make it 28-27, and then you don't get a great set. It almost looks like a little bit of lack of confusion on what the hitter was hitting. And it's an easy ball for Sam to block. So you work so hard, and then you get those 2 plays to make it 29-27, and you're scratching your head probably as a coach right there. But now he has to get them refocused to figure out what's going on over there and say, okay, this is now at this point at 29-27, you say, who's our best player in the front row? What's our best set we can make? We'll make that set and live and die with that. So, and obviously Penn State on the other side knows who their best hitter is, and they're going to get a matchup here. So we'll see what happens.
Well, everything went pretty smooth for Penn State last night in round 1 against Binghamton, but a little bump in the road here in game number 2 after a rock-solid 30-11 victory in game number 1. Penn State being severely challenged by Long Island, 29-27. It is game point. And we'll see what happens with Price's serve. Wagner stepping up, firing long, no touch, and a victory for Penn State in game number 2.